grinding away slowly. It hasn't happened yet. Here we go. We are live. I am Justin, the DIY audio guy. As always, joined by my good friend Nick from Toys DIY Audio. Nick, tell him how you're doing.
I am doing extremely well.
Are you sure? It doesn't sound like it.
Nice. Oh, would it be better if I said, I am doing extremely well, sir?
And we have a special guest. We have with us tonight James JT. If you know him on YouTube, he's JT4011. His website is High Voltage Car Audio, HVCA, highvoltagecaraudio.com. The master fabricator himself, Mr. Ooh. James Taylor, JT. JT, tell us how you're doing tonight.
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for the invite, and I'm glad to be here and ready to get this show started. Let's see what damage we can do, right?
All right. Looking at the chat, we got some of the usual crowd here. We got Mr. High Five Vega here. We have Mr. Mullen Performance Audio. Elliot Dyson's with us, CRT, Bobby Burkett. It looks like the usual gang is all here, and it's good to see everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Real quick, Justin.
Yes,
Elliot is from overseas, I think, England, I think. So it's like 3 a.m, and he's tuning in here. So JT, you better
yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, well, yeah, you do know that feeling. He is very excited to see the show with you.
Awesome. Well, let's clarify. Clarify. It's JAT 4011.
4011, not 4011. 4011.
Yeah. JAT.
All right. And you know, if you're following us, you've got to be subscribed to him because he's got an amazing channel. I was just telling him before the show how honored I was to have him on. I've been watching him for years, and watching him do stuff. I remember when he was working out of what appeared to be just like a really big shed in the backyard. And he's since moved on to this huge shop where he's done some amazing builds, and his work, it's art. Fabrication. No, this man is an artist. And it's an honor to have him on. So, James, let's hit you with a question. Is that okay?
Sure. Fire
Real
away.
quick, should we tell them about the next build off that JT is not part of? No, just kidding.
We're doing a build off, not against James. No, you'll win.
No, we're just joking. We would not do a build off first, James.
Yeah. My hands are wiped clean of that.
All right. So, so let's ask a question. We're curious to know, how did you get started installing and fabricating? How did it all begin?
Man. Okay. So I like to think that I got hooked in car audio, not so much when I got into it. And that was back when I was a teenager, probably in the mid to late 1980s. I had a brother-in-law that got a system in his truck, and you probably remember the kicker boxes with the tweeter on the top, and it had the sub in the front, the passive radiator. So yeah, there you go. First time I had ever heard bass, and I was hooked. So when I actually graduated high school and pursued a career in car audio, worked for a few shops here and there, but it wasn't really, fabrication so much as it was the day in and day out. Lots of alarms, cruise controls, CD changers, 8 tracks, CB radios. Y'all can remember that. Bag phones. Long time ago. Yeah. And so as time went on, I decided to go back to school, and I got my engineering degree. And this was around 1998. And I actually fell into telecommunication, where I was in telecom till 2016 when I resigned and opened up my shop. I would say from about 98 to about 2005, I didn't even talk about car audio or think about it. And then I just one day kind of got the itch, and that's how things started to evolve. One of the things that I really wanted to do when I was into car audio was the fabrication part. Unfortunately, back then, a lot of shops were just trying to make ends meet, and fabrication really didn't have a place in most shops. So I really didn't start doing a lot of the high-end fab work until you see the videos for me out back in the shed back here. A lot of trial and error, a lot of things that I was doing to just kind of home in on those skills. And then as time went on, like I said, in 16, I resigned and then opened my shop. I felt like if I'm going to do it, guys, this is the time to do it. It now is the time. So, and I've been in this location ever since. That's awesome. It. Yeah. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. But I'm very passionate about car audio and very passionate about fabrication. I still am today. I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 in March, and it's just something I've got to do.
I saw a question in the chat. I missed who said it. And y'all, if you're in the chat and you want to throw a question up, feel free to do that. Always the best way to get our attention to make sure you've got a really important question is to drop one of those super chats. Someone asked, what was the song that first time that brother-in-law dropped the bass that made you go, wow, I got to have that. That's the stuff.
I honestly don't remember. All I remember is my back shaking and just getting this, this high off of the bass. That's all I remember.
It was definitely bass mechanic.
But probably so. What's interesting is the town that I lived in, I used to go up on Saturdays and hang out at the stereo shop. And I know those guys, they probably wanting to get a restraining order against me from hanging around for hours on end. But I mean, I just wanted to be a part of it. So.
I can remember that moment, right? I was a town near where I grew up because I didn't grow up in town. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. There was a sizable cruising scene. We're talking about, 1990s. I graduated high school in 92. And I remember people would cruise and it was the Kroger parking lot of all places. They'd pull off and they'd open the trunk, show up their systems. This one guy had one of those old hatchback Honda Accords. He had a big kicker in the back. I think it was an 18. I remember just standing there watching it play and watching that huge driver, and back then it was tiny as far as the Excursion compared to today, just watching it just move up and down. It was like, That's amazing. I got to have one of those, but I was broke as hell and no way I could afford anything near like that. Say hi to Living Loud with Andy, one of our YouTube friends there.
Yeah, boy. Oh wait, no, that's not him. That's Hi-Fi. Who's also here. So JT, go ahead.
I was just going to say fabrication has come a long way since I started. Back then, late 1980s, in the 90s, there's no internet. You have to, kind of learn on your own and a lot of trial and error. And if you don't have somebody who's experienced and they can mentor you, then it really becomes a big challenge. And that's kind of the position that I was in for many years. But I think after I got out of it for some time, the internet flourished, if you will, and things became more readily available. There's so much knowledge on the internet, good and bad. But there's a lot of things you can pick up on.
Which one was good and which one was bad?
Well, I'm
he was pointing at me one of those times, Nick. I'm not sure what.
I'm just going to let the viewers decide which one's good and bad.
There you go.
You really need to do your homework nowadays more than ever. So, but yeah, it's definitely come a long way. There's been some innovators who have really taken fabrication to the next level. And it's really helped people like me do the things that I can do, for sure.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
All right. So we have done build-offs in the past. The only build-off actually we've done was a pre-built system, right? So they basically gave us all the components. They're already designed. They gave us the flat packs. We built them and then redesigned them with, looks. Now, whenever you're doing fabrication, though, you have a couple things that are important: sound quality, or what you're trying to do with the sound, like whether you're trying to get a lot of bass or whatever you're trying to do with that. And then 2, design. How do you take those two and implement them together? Like, how do you look at it and say, all right, I need it to be both functional and look pretty?
So I do, I get my design features from 2 arenas, and one is the car itself. I look at the dash, the flow of the console, bumpers, headlights, taillights, vents, all of those things that, are kind of important, or not really important, but design characteristics of the vehicle. I try to incorporate that type of stuff in the fabrication itself. And then of course the customer. A lot of clients, I'll say I get two kinds of clients. One is, they don't care. Just do something, make me happy, whatever. And then the second is someone who wants something to be installed and integrated specifically for their vehicle, like the Mandalorian build that I did, I think maybe last year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, stuff like that. So, and I can do both, and I love doing both, but that's basically where I get the design from. I will say that the design generally takes on a life of its own as things progress. And I'm terrible at trying to do too much for the budget, because I'm always trying to exceed the customer's expectations. So, that's always a flaw of mine, if I have one, is just going over and above.
I like how JT said, if I have a flaw. if I have any flaws, that's the one I have.
Well, so this is funny. My mother ran a flower shop for many years, and the people who got the best floral arrangements were the people who came to her and said, "Here's my money. You're the artist. Make me something awesome." Right. And that customer always got more than the customer who said, "I want this specific number of this specific whatever in the thing."
Right.
Always, every time.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the same way. And I things tend to take me a little bit longer. I'm a little too much of a perfectionist, if you will. And there's been times where I've built something and been 20% into it, and it's just, things just don't look kind of right. I'll throw it away and start over. So I'm not afraid to do that. And I probably should do videos on that when that does happen, because I am human and I do make mistakes. So, and I do try to correct them. And so I think maybe people would probably like to see that. Maybe not.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a good point. I recently just designed a speaker, and I took a wrong measurement. Basically, it has a compression driver and a horn, and I didn't really take into account a piece that had to go on there, an adapter that had to fit. And so I tried to put it in there, and the horn's sticking out like a quarter of an inch above the front baffle, and I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Wow. Yeah.
After I glued the box all together and everything, I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to redo this whole thing.
That's when you pull out the belt sander and go to town inside there.
Yeah, I'll just take the whole 3/4 inch front baffle off.
So a lot of the things I do is all software now. It's VCar Pro, which is 2D, but you can actually do 3D sketching and imaging in there. I'm sure there's other software programs that will do the same function, but having the CNC and being able to sort of model up like the Toyota Tundra I'm doing now, even though it's got a 13 TW5, which is the shallow mount sub, it is very tight in that enclosure, and it actually touches the back of it. So when you model it out, you're able to, get those dimensions just right. Yeah, so having software, it does make it easier. I think even if you don't have a CNC, modeling through software does make parts fit better, and you can visualize it better. I'm not good at sketching at all. I'm good at visualizing it. I can just see how it's supposed to look.
I'm a big fan of SketchUp. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to say, I feel like we'd get along, because I'm the same way. I don't like to sketch things out. I like to just visualize it and design it on the computer and then go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of SketchUp for that reason. I can just keep redrawing it until I'm pretty confident that it'll go together like intended. And, doesn't always, but most, it's better to make a mistake on a computer screen where you're not wasting material.
Absolutely.
Right. Than it is to make a mistake with material, especially if you're using something expensive, some of these plastics that you use. Mm-hmm. That stuff gets expensive in a hurry.
Dude, what are you talking about? MDF right now is crazy. It's $60 a sheet for a 3/4 inch.
Oh man, I walked through Home Depot the other day for the first time in months, and I was floored when I saw that the birch was like $2 more than the MDF. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, so I don't use Home Depot grade stuff. I use premium grade that I get from a local plywood supplier. So
you've
it's
got an
high-end
actual
stuff.
plywood supplier that specializes in it then.
Yep. I don't do the Home Depot, Lowe's. There's nothing wrong with their product. It's a standard grade, but it's just not a premium grade. So I like to just use parts that are just a little bit better quality. So that's just me. I'm not saying everybody go out and do that, but for me, I'm a perfectionist, so I'm trying to get to that perfection level.
Yeah, and I was going to say not everyone can, but Justin, I think this is a perfect time since we're talking about software and everything else to come up with your question.
All right, so this is the eternal debate that Nick and I have been having for, I don't know, over a year now, probably. My next big equipment purchase, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, is going to be a saw stop because I would like to have the extra safety. Nick tells me that I am absolutely crazy, and my next big purchase needs to be a CNC machine. And JT, you've got both. So settle the bet for us. Which one and why?
Okay, so Nick, you've got Todd. Nick, I don't know where Nick came from. Todd, you've got a CNC, right?
My name is Nick.
Oh,
it says Toyd on there because it's Toyd.
Okay, never mind.
Don't worry about it. It's
you threw me for a loop.
I can change it, but go ahead.
But you got Toyd. You do have a CNC, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I have a CNC for newbie.
Okay, and Justin, you've got a small table saw.
I have table saw that's getting to the point where I'm getting to the point where I'm beyond its capabilities.
I see. I think the thing that you should be doing is asking yourself, what do you want from it? If you're just going to build enclosures, then a table saw is the way to go. You just need one large enough so that you can manage large 4x8 sheets of material. If you're trying to do production style enclosures, then obviously the CNC would be the way to go. The CNC does open up a whole lot of different capabilities. You can do acrylic etching. You can do all kinds of different, like I said earlier, modeling up different products and pieces together. So yeah, it does have its advantages. So I actually started with a skill saw and a straight edge.
That's exactly what I was going to say. All you need to do is skill saw, straight edge, cut it down, throw it on the CNC.
I actually have a video up for that. It's one of the best. It is the best producing view video that I've ever had. And it's on my channel, and it's for when I was out back in the house here doing cuts back there. I showed how to do it. So, and I built enclosures like that for years. So
I do want to mention that's the reason why Hi-Fi is no longer on the show.
Nice.
We kicked him off because he disagreed with Nick. There you go.
Oh goodness. But if I guess for me personally, I did the saw stop first, and then went with the CNC. So if you're a fabricator or you're a wannabe fabricator, I would say the table saw is the first thing. A router with a drop-in table. You need an assortment of router bits, and you need templates.
And by the time you've done that, you've paid for a CNC.
Almost, but almost. But there's a lot of things on a CNC you can't do with a table saw or a router. So they do have their advantages. And the only place that I would ever go, and if I can say a name on here, business name, Mobile Solutions would be the only place that I would go to get your templates from.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to say about this, because I don't care. He has a table saw. He's got a skill saw. He's got a router. He's got all those things.
I've got a straight edge.
CNC. He got a straight edge. He's got everything. What is CNC? Here's the way I look at it. And I don't care. But this is the way I look at it. Your table saw, if you're unhappy with the way it is, just build a better table for it. Like, that's it. Like, just build a better unless you're like way upset with its tolerances, just build a better table for it. Because once you have a CNC, all you have to do is cut the sheets down to a manageable size. Not only that, if you're buying your MDF, like you said, from Home Depot or Lowe's, they'll cut it down for you. So then you can just slide it right on the CNC. So like a decent CNC now, like just, one with, I don't know, ball joints or whatever on it, I mean, you can get for about $2,500. Now, more expensive one, you know, 5,000 plus. But, you know, when you're looking at that price range, to me, I'm just like, I don't know. You're going to spend about that just to get your saw stop. So.
Yeah,
Well, I
but
like
that
my
saw
saw
stop
stop.
is so sexy on the videos, though. It
Oh,
just
Matt's-
looks good.
Mine
does,
is
but look at what
mine
Matt Stark said. Look what Matt Stark said. Just it's, bingo, Nick. Bingo. I don't know if we were playing bingo, but he said bingo.
nice.
Sorry, JT, I cut you off.
We cut
I
you
like-
off. We're sorry.
Well, I don't think I answered that very well, but see, I'm trying not to be.
You don't
to,
want to. He doesn't want to pick. He doesn't want to pick one.
He doesn't want to get in the middle of our fight.
He's staying in the middle lane.
I'm
He's
just
like, I'm
staying
not
in the
going
middle
either.
lane, and I'm just keeping my speed accurately at 55.
He's over
If
here
you
like,
wanna do
I didn't
this,
know
do
what I
this."
got into. I didn't mean to get in the middle of this crap. I had no idea there'd be a big fight.
You also need the space for it. It's
Well, that's true.
It takes up a lot of room. Mine is not a big one. I've got a X carve that's the 1,000 millimeter. You can cut about 31.5 inches on a plane, so it works perfect for me in my shop. But there are 4x8 ones that are $30,000 or more.
Oh yeah.
You know, they have the suction, the air suction. So yeah, you can really spend some dough on a CNC if you want to.
Wait, it has air suction? Wait, I like the sound of that, guys. What does it do now?
You put the board on the material, you turn your air compressor on, and it pulls down.
Yeah,
I was making a
material
dirty
down.
joke. You were being
Oh.
serious.
Oh.
I have the same thing going on. Let me talk to V13 Audio's question. He said, "Hey, what's the best CNC for the price?" And there's a lot of them, but the ones that I found to be the best were, because I recently just upgraded, were a company called CNC for Newbie out of Canada. They're relatively new. They make a lot of 4 foot by 4 foot ones, which I think are some of the better ones to get because you can cut a sheet in half and
Yep.
throw it up there. You waste a lot less material, because I'm sure you'd say the same thing. When you cut down a 48 from 32, you have to find something for that 16 inches to actually be worth on, because you don't always find something that 16 or 17 inches will work on. So for me, something that's a 4 foot by 4 foot is one of the better purchases if you can afford it. And in that range, CNC for Newbie, I think, is right around $2,500 for a 4 foot by 4 foot with, I think it's ball screws, although that might just be regular screw drive.
Well, Inventables is the one who makes mine, and they make a 4 foot by 4 foot, and so mine is all belt driven with spindles, and it has a dedicated router. So it's not a production style, you know. It does have its limitations, but if you set your feed rate and depth cuts and all that, you know, you can do it. It'll do anything that I've needed to, and I've had it for 3 years, and it works great. But that new one they've got is it's all, like you said, it's all ball joints and dedicated spindles, and
I think it's like $5,000 though,
expensive.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I'd say 6 or 7, I think, somewhere around in there.
So like the CNC for Newbie, which is screw drive. Now I bought the different one, but if you go 45 by 45, it's about $2,000, I think. So 4 foot by 4 foot. That's I think that's something to do with millimeters. What's a 4 foot by 4 foot? I don't know. So to me, like, I don't know. But either way, they're all really good. Yeah, he paid about $3,000 for his 4x8 CNC for Newbie machine.
That's a good price. Yeah,
I think that's highly doable for if you're looking at. Well, I don't know how much is a saw stop.
You can whatever you want to spend, right?
Mine
I mean, because they have all the add-ons. You can just keep adding stuff on. You can get big sliding tables for them that are a $1,400 add-on. So you can just keep spending as long as you want to keep spending.
Mine is the Contractor Series, and it's a 52, and it's the 3 horsepower motor. And
so you went with the big one then, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was 3,500. I just don't remember.
It's gone up since then because that 3.5 horsepower motor's more now. You're going to be into $4,000 just getting one of those.
Yeah.
Do you think that someone like me who's just out puttering in the garage on the weekends needs a 3 horsepower motor?
Yes. Yeah, you'll feel the difference when you're cutting MDF 3/4 inch. it just slices right through it like it's nothing. Yeah.
All right, got a question for you, James. JT, I would love to know about what you've got right now in your Tahoe. It's been a while since I've seen it on your channel, but the last time I saw it, you had this awesome like tunnel of bass. Tell us about what you have in that system.
It's 1515s. So you say that fast to people and they look at you like, what'd you say? No, 1515s. So it is a Pentagon. It's a 5-sided, 3 on a side. And I came up with that design when I rebuilt the system. I used to have 418s in the C-pillar, and I rebuilt it in 2013, 2014 timeframe. And I wanted to go with something a little bit different because there was a lot of band passes out there, 4th and 6th orders, and I just didn't want to be another band pass build. So I decided to go sealed enclosure and go with it's a tunnel design with 1515. It's just unique. It plays down to about 28 hertz, and it's like 2,600 square inches of cone area. It's crazy. And when it hits its tune port, the wind is stupid. It really creates an environment for demoing with women and their hair. You know, you get the hair going every which way. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So it's 1515s. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of really big speakers, and it's also all sealed. There's no port.
It's sealed.
So what drivers are you using?
They're PSI. That was a PSI platform 5, or I'm sorry, platform 3s. They're the originals that I bought in 2014. Still using them today. And
they've been alive for 8 years now.
Yep.
Then.
Yep.
And how much power are you throwing to them?
It's about 40,000 watts.
Good Lord.
There's 4 alternators, there's 4 300 amp alternators under the hood. I bought that kit in 2009. I'm still using it today. I have excess power lithium that I run in the back. It's got 6 runs of 0 front to back. There's probably 200 feet of 0 gauge in that truck to make all the connections. And
I like how calm you are. Oh yeah, it's 1515s. It's 40,000 watts of power. Yeah. Good Lord, man.
It's some of the shows I go to, it's a small weight compared to some of these other ones that are out there. There's some out there that are they're ridiculous. But I really enjoy it. I thought about rebuilding it for a long time, but I feel like there's more people out there that would really like to see it, and I just need to get to more shows. And it's dependable.
Yeah.
And it's dependable. It's I hadn't had a problem with it. I haven't had an amp blown. I haven't had a sub blown. It's got 300 hours of demo time. It's crazy.
Nick's lips are moving, but he's not making any sound. So he must be having a problem. He's not muted. So 1515s are PSI level platform 3s. Is that what they call them? Yep. And you mentioned the wind that it makes. So like, is that designed with that big hole with the woofers in it? Does it add anything to the sound? Was there any kind of logic or science to that?
None.
Or
my goal when I built it was to build as big a sealed enclosure as I could get in there. And
gotcha.
And it's about 38 cubic feet for 1515. So
before
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say it tunes down to about 28 hertz. That's where it peaks. And
I'm just amazed that sealed enclosure is that low.
Yeah.
Well, you're DSPing surely, right?
I am today. Yeah.
Well, it's cabin gain, right? That's what's doing it. It's all cabin gain.
It is. Yeah. So with the windows up, it doesn't do well. With one window down, it does okay. Both windows down. Yeah. Let's rock. Let's rock and roll now. Yeah. So I haven't blown the windshield yet. Thank goodness. But I have blown the sunroof out. So I put a metal pan in there and welded that in because I just didn't want to go through that ordeal all over again.
So I
I saw the video on that.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a great opportunity for a video before we get to Elliot Dyson's question. I think we need to get as many celebrities that we all think wears a toupee and get him in his car. And then we can just be like, all right, which one? Oh, we were, and then we can see if we were right or wrong.
Nice.
So Elliot Dyson with the £5 super chat. Thank you, Elliot Dyson. Have any of you ever thought of making a rotary subwoofer for a car? It's ideal, really, in the outside world as your cabinet. So those who don't know what that is, it's definitely a different style of subwoofer. It basically is, for the lack of a better word, a fan. And if you were doing it, say, in a home theater, you would install it in the attic. And as you adjust the angle of the fan blades, imagine a helicopter, you change the frequencies. And I've seen them on the internet, and apparently very small amount of power, because just turning an electric motor can make some obscenely large amount of bass. And I have no idea how you would pull that off in a car, because I think it's pretty hard to pull off in the home anyways. Any experience with that, gentlemen?
None here.
That'd be cool, though.
Yeah.
I'd like to try it.
Sounds like.
It's all about moving air, right? Like that's all it's doing. I don't know how it would work in a car, to be honest, because usually when you put it in a house, you need you put it in a closet or something where you have a lot of, like, that's your cabinet, and then the fan pushing out the air is going somewhere. So you'd almost have to like remove your back seats for sure, or something, or put it in a van where you can have like a wall with the big blades going, and then moving it back. I don't know. I see, like, my whole issue with those in general, I like those a lot, but my whole issue with those is almost the reason why people like them is because you can get subsonic, like below 20 hertz frequencies. But my issue is almost every amplifier has like at least a 20 hertz high pass built into it anyway. So what are we really gaining much?
And there's really no music that's recorded that low anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a home theater thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's home theater where you want an explosion.
Yeah.
It's not music.
It's really cool. I mean, I'd love to build one sometime just because it's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's really that practical. I mean, if it was, I think we'd be seeing them more. I just don't.
Right.
Oh, that's the problem, is they're impractical. I mean, and it's, I don't know, anything cutting edge. I don't know if I call them cutting edge. They've been around for a decade, probably.
Oh, longer than
but
that.
I don't know. They're a fun, I don't know. It's a fun gimmick. I'd love to try it.
It's like a Tesla coil. How cool would it be to have 2 Tesla coils in your yard, like shooting off things? Like, that'd be awesome, but it's not really practical, right? But it's cool.
Have y'all seen this? There's a guy, he makes YouTube videos where he makes sounds and makes music with Tesla coils.
Nice.
It's pretty
awesome.
cool. That'd be a fun thing to have. All right. So, JT, tell us about some of your favorite gear. What's some gear that you really like to install in a car? Stuff that you know every time you put it in a car, it's going to sound good. Stuff you like to play with. Stuff you wish you could use more. Just your favorite gear in general.
In general, JL Audio is probably the go-to. Yeah, very consistent. I like Moscone. It's very high-end stuff as well. And I still like Rockford Fosgate. I started out with Rockford Fosgate in the late 80s. I have Rockford in my Tahoe. All of my mids and highs and my amps are all Rockford Fosgate. So I like Alpine to a point. Alpine used to be a great brand. A lot of brands that I grew up with, they're just not the same brand as they were. And so, like I said earlier, you just got to do your homework and really, really make sure you know what you're buying. There's a lot of, and I don't want to get off subject here, but there's a lot of Chinese stuff out there that it's just garbage. It's just mass produced and it's flooded into the States, and everybody's thinking they have to buy it for some reason because their buddy bought it. But I would stick with gears that have been around for a long, long time and that are consistent. So that's my best advice.
That was actually going to be my question, or similar question is, unfortunately and fortunately, we have the internet and we can buy like anything now, right? Like we have so many more choices than we had, like, in the 90s. 90s, you just went to your stereo shop and you looked at what ones they had. You had like 5 or 6 choices and you picked one.
Right.
Nowadays, you have thousands of choices, and it's so hard to navigate those waters, right? Because you can see like products you've never seen before, never heard of. Is there anything that you look for in a gear that you say, that would be good? Or is it mainly I just stick to brands I know that are pretty good?
I stick with brands like that, that I know that I've been installing for years, and I get just excellent results every single time. There's without fail. So, if you're trying to build an SPL vehicle, then your Sundowns and your DC Audios and your Def Bounce, that's the way to go for subs. Rockford and a lot of the mainstream products, they really don't have beaten subs anymore. I think Kicker's trying to do something again, but I'm not sure where they're at in that respect. But Sundown, DC Audio, they're generally the sub you'll see in competition cars that are winning trophies. If you're wanting like sound quality, then I would stick with your JL Audio as your name brand.
Gotcha.
I think it's funny. You and I have both been around long enough to remember some of the really great brands that have just completely trailed off. They've been bought by these big conglomerates that are just buying stuff from China and just putting numbers on the side of the amps. I remember when a Hyphonics amplifier was the absolute bomb. Yeah. Made by Zed Audio, and now it's like, no, don't buy one of those. They're just not. They work. You hook them up, they make noise. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's like, no thanks. MB Court's another one that I remember was unobtainium, fantastic equipment, Soundstream, made really great stuff, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's just another big conglomerate that owns 4 or 5 brands and just sticks a name on the side of the amp. And it's kind of sad to see that.
Yeah, I grew up with all that. I mean, that was all Class AB. That's all you could get back then, And
I remember reading the car audio magazines and thinking one day I'll get my hands on them and some of this stuff. And now I can afford Hyphonics, but I don't want it.
Now you don't want it.
Yeah. I can buy MB Court all day long and PPI, but why?
Yeah. It's definitely not the same brands. For sure.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right. So that's your favorite gear. So tell us about some of the favorite builds, some of the stuff that you've worked on that you just, hey, this thing, it was perfect and I'm proud of it. And, what are some of your favorite builds?
The Mandalorian build that I did a couple of years ago, that one was really fun. I would say every one of them has a special place, and they're all unique in their own ways. I like the Mandalorian a lot. I'm just trying to think. The H2 Hummer I just finished. I got a lot of good reviews on the amp rack, so a lot of people really enjoyed that. But like I said, everyone has a special place. So I don't really have one that just stands out more than one or the other.
That's a perfectly fine answer.
Yeah.
So someone threw up a question.
So do you have a link? Do you have a link to the Mandalorian one we can throw up in the chat for people?
I don't think you can do the chat from here, so
I can do it.
All right. So while he's doing that, let me pull up a question here. And I noticed that one of the videos real recently, you've been doing some Memphis, and I'm kind of curious as your thoughts on the Memphis, because I've always wondered, is Memphis actually any good or not? Because when I think of the city of Memphis, it doesn't always make me think confidence.
Yeah, the Tacoma that I'm building right now, it's got the M-Class Memphis speakers. They're the 6x9 the 6x9 components in the front, the 6.5 coax in the rear. And this is the first time I've really used them, so I really don't have a good feel for how they will perform. They look good. They're carbon fiber. They got beautiful surrounds. They look like they're well built. There's no paper in them, so they look solid. And we will find out in about a week how they sound.
And so while Nick is looking up, I think he's going to try to find a link to the Mandalorian. I think I'm going to add this to the screen real quick. There we go.
Yeah,
that's it,
man.
Yeah, and I did share the link in the chat, so if you guys want to see that, but I mean, it looks
How in the
nice.
hell did you do that, man?
That's with the CNC.
He did that with his saw stop.
Yeah, I did that with the saw stop.
Gotcha.
Look at the end, man. Look at that. That looks nice.
Thanks.
Lord have mercy. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's an all JL system. Yeah.
What car was that in?
That was a. Does it say in the title? I can't quite read.
A Volkswagen Golf R.
Yeah, that's it. Golf R. And so the R
Oh,
there.
there's the R logo. Yeah.
So the R there is a mimic of the R that's on the fender, on the front fender.
That's cool.
So that is acrylic. It is the black part is mirror, and then the top part is clear, and that's painted silver.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
And then it's just glowing where it's just clear now. Is that right?
The helmet, the Mandalorian helmet.
Yeah, the Mandalorian helmet.
So the nice thing about
that's where you've etched. I mean, I'm assuming, right?
Right. So the etching is what will actually show up when you backlight it. But the center part it's also mirror acrylic.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
Thanks.
I wanted to make sure to share that because it's really good work. And this is, I got to ask, what is this material that you've covered it with?
You mean the black and the blue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, just black and blue. Yeah, vinyl.
It's vinyl.
Yeah,
it's a soft side vinyl.
Where do you recommend we get good vinyl at? If I wanted to go find some good vinyl,
in your neck of the woods, I'm not 100% sure. I get mine from a company local called Masco, and they sell just a wide variety of different kinds of vinyls and stuff. And for the most part, I can match an interior about 99% accurately. So, but I do use a soft side vinyl all the time. There are 4-way stretch, 2-way stretch, stuff like that out there, but they're limited in the number of colors and the shines and the textures. So a soft side just has hundreds of different samples to choose from. You can get really close to any interior, but there's a downside to soft side. Soft side it's not very forgiving. So when you're building your projects, you have to be thinking ahead in the fact that, can I wrap this piece with soft side vinyl, or am I going to have to make like a center piece or a cutout? So you have to be thinking about that when you're using soft side.
So I think JT has now, with that build, answered the question of CNC versus table saw.
I'm afraid maybe so. Maybe I'm gonna have to get how to, because one of my issues with going with the CNC or a laser cutter or anything like that is I don't want to learn how to use one more damn thing.
The program, yeah.
Nick is a huge fan of his 3D printer, and I'm like, that's nice, but I don't want to print parts for my 3D printer so I can use my 3D printer.
I don't either, which is why I bought one that doesn't need to do that.
It's definitely, it's when you buy a CNC, you definitely have a learning curve with the software for sure. You know, it took me a while to get, I would say, decent at it. VCarve Pro does, I always say this, VCarve Pro does about 10,000 different things, and I know about 16 of them. So, you know, I know what I need to know. But, I mean, as you use it, and it becomes second nature.
So Elliot Dyson's got a question for you, JT. Have you ever used non-car audio drivers in a car build? And if so, what have been some of your favorites and why did you choose them?
Non-car audio?
Yeah, like Dayton Audio or, like home audio.
Never have. Now, when I was a kid, my brother used to take his home speakers on the weekend and put them in the back seat and go cruising the weekend,
Well,
does
that's
that
a lot.
count?
No, I don't think so. Because some people will use
Marantz. It was Marantz.
Oh, wow.
Some old stuff.
Good
Some
stuff.
people will use like Peerless, and you don't use any of those, huh?
Mm-mm.
So my door speakers, the 6.5s that are in my door, are actually a home audio component. It's the brand is SB Acoustics, and it's a I forget, Nick, what country is SB Acoustics out of?
Denmark.
No, maybe there are companies in Denmark where they make them in Southeast Asia. But SB Acoustics have been used in a car. Sonic Electronics, their house brand NVX was SB Acoustics for a while. And apparently they're supposed to be pretty good drivers. All the DIY mobile audio forum, people really like them. So I'm actually running, I've got a 3-way front stage, and I've got some air motion transformers on the dash, and some, I think they're Peerless 3.5-inch drivers in the dash holes on the truck, and then the 6.5s in the door. So most of the drivers in my vehicle are home audio drivers, but a driver is a driver is the way I feel about it. What are the specs of the driver and how does it perform?
Right. The only thing with home is most home are 8 ohm. So you have to make that consideration as well, because car audio amps, they don't run well unless you're either 2 ohm, 4 ohm. So you have to consider that as you're building your system and your power requirements.
Yeah, my dash speakers are actually 8 ohms. And the beauty of it is you don't really need that much power for a 3.5-inch driver. So you can get away with it for that. But I wouldn't put an 8 ohm subwoofer in something. That would probably go bad in a hurry.
Yeah. So the sensitivity of the speaker also, is how bright and efficient they'll be. So
share that screen. I'll tell you a little bit about why you're confused. They design all their speakers in Denmark. Everything is designed in Denmark with SB Acoustics. However, where they're made is not always Denmark, right? So they're manufactured a lot in Indonesia.
Okay.
And so that's why you're confused. But
I just thought they were a straight up Indonesia ripoff of someone else.
No. So, when we say made, they're made in Denmark originally, at least designed and everything in Denmark. Like that's where they're located from. But where the speakers actually manufactured could be somewhere else.
So I've got a follow-up question for you, JT. Have you ever made a home speaker? Have you ever built a home speaker?
I have not. Actually,
you're gonna have to build some.
I've got a gentleman that's wanting me to make some for his shop, so that'll be coming up. Of course, I'll be doing a video on that.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah,
and I don't know what they are. He just said, "Hey, man, you want to do some home speakers?" I'm like, "Sure." That's why I got the table saw.
I felt that right here in the gut. Felt it. It hurt.
So Nick is the home speaker guru. He's kind of made for a name for himself by making clones of really high end stuff. And if you're to check out his channel, he's got some, his version of a $3,000 speaker that you can buy the parts for $300, that kind of thing. So Nick might be able to give you some tips for making a home speaker sound just right. So if he's wanting you to build if your customer wants you to build something from the ground up, I'd definitely say consult with Nick, because he knows stuff beyond what so many people do.
I'll do it. Thanks. I need to look at your channel too, for sure.
Yeah. Anytime you want to go to sleep.
Come on now.
I'm curious now. I know that you are a fabricator, you're an installer, and you just kind of work out of a workshop. Do you sell any gear, or do you just work out of that workshop?
I sell JL, Rockford. I sell Alpine, Pioneer, Kenwood. If you can find any head units, let me know. I sell DC audio as well. But I mean, as far as brands, I can get just about anything local. So I have a pretty unique situation where I'm not actually a retail store. I'm not a storefront. I'm a fab shop, but I can sell. The market is just, there's nothing out there right now. I don't know. The last several builds I've done, I haven't sold any product at all. And I've just had to tell the client, you just got to scour the internet and see what you can find.
And your website is High Voltage Car Audio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to share that,
right here?
I got it pulled up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You even sell used equipment, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I've got some used stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so. Here's a big question for you. Let's say that someone listening to the feed says, "Hey, I've seen this guy on the internet. I've seen what he can make. I want JT to build my stuff." How in the world would someone get in touch with you and set up getting on the schedule to have you build their stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you go through the High Voltage website. You can hit me up through Facebook. My Facebook business is on there. Instagram, JTHVCA is on, any of those. And I try to, and of course, YouTube as well. That's a good one. So there's multiple ways to get in touch with me. My phone number is listed. I don't hide it. You can call me up. I'll answer it. So, but I get a lot of people who want a lot of different stuff, but when push comes to shove and you need to put some money down, then it's crickets in a lot of cases. But that's the business we're in, and that's fine. I don't mind working with clients and having them think about it. So
looking for a good certified JL repair center aside from JL.
Don't know. I've repaired a few XD 400x4s, but I generally just don't repair stuff. I'd say go to JL, because most of the time I think all they're doing is replacing a board. They're not even doing board level.
You are a brave man by putting your telephone number on your website. Very brave.
It scares people off more than you think.
What'd you say?
It scares people off more than you think. I don't get as many calls as I get messages and
emails. Yeah.
And emails. That's where the majority of it comes from.
It's very interesting because when I was looking at buying a CNC, one of the companies I looked at was in Georgia. Can't think of the Millwright CNC.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at their CNCs and I was curious about them. And my dad wanted to look at them too, because he was looking at buying a CNC. And they said they won't, and they don't do any phone calls. All they do is internet only. And if you need help beyond what I can send you in an email, I'm not the right company to buy from.
Right.
It's like, whoa. Thought that was crazy.
Well, if I don't answer, you can always leave a message and I'll call you back. I get a lot of spam calls, so half the time I don't ever answer.
Someone calling you about your vehicle warranty.
Right now.
That's right. Yeah, vehicle warranty and my student loans that I don't have.
Hey guys, Deviant, stop calling him. He's busy right now. Can't you see?
He's on the show. Come on.
He's busy.
I got my phone right here. They're just messing with me, I think.
No one actually called. He's got his phone right there with him.
Oh gosh, could you imagine if it started ringing? I just called him. He didn't answer. Oh, jeez.
Funny.
I gotta say, I've learned a ton from you already. I mean, just even the whole using soft side vinyl on there, which I'm assuming you just connect with the spray glue like most people, but
contact adhesive. Mm-hmm.
Oh, contact adhesive. Okay, more like cement glue then.
It's a wildwood or wedwood contact adhesive.
Oh, you use wedwood. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can't use wedwood makes a counter glue for like countertops. That's not the same stuff. You will see that in the big box stores.
Oh, like the contact cement
the blue
thing.
Can,
contact.
Right?
You want the blue and white can, not the red and not the red one.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's great stuff. You can use a Harbor Freight. I use a Harbor Freight HVLP to spray it. It's got a 1.4 spray tip. The thing is, you just have to keep the gun clean after every use. So acetone is your friend. It coagulates all the old glue when it's still wet, and it's real easy to pull out and clean. So yeah, I need to do a video on cleaning your gun too. So that's another one I'm going to be doing.
I would like to watch a video on cleaning the gun, because that's the one thing that stopped me from pouring, because I got a can of the blue stuff and I got a spray gun. So I need to know what the best way to clean it is. So I'll watch the video if you post it.
There you go. And you need to make the tape funnel. If you've ever seen that made.
Yeah.
Make the tape funnel. So yeah,
that's the tape across the can so you can pour it out.
That's it.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. I saw a comment that I have to address. Where'd it go? It was someone commenting about Sundown. There we go. It's like I actually have a 12-inch Sundown in my vehicle right now, and I'm enjoying it immensely. I really need to crank the gain up and see how much power it can take, because I'm curious to see just how much it can handle. So your thoughts on Sundown?
Love it. They're great stuff.
Nick's going, no.
I mean, if you're going for SPL, this is the same thing I said earlier. If you're going for an SPL build and you want a lot of output, then you need to pick a sub like a Sundown or a DC Audio, somebody like that. You're not going to get that kind of performance from JL Audio, Rockford Fosgate. They don't make subs like that anymore. So if you're wanting those big excursion, 6,000 watt RMS power handling, you're going to have to go to somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing with them. I don't really care about, loud bass that is distortion, all that. So I'd rather it just sound nice and
there you go,
be clean. So I don't really care for Sundown and the low sensitivity where you have to have the power handling too, all that stuff going on. I'd rather just bypass that.
All right, El Fuego here. He's one of our big community supporters, asking how much time do you spend filming and editing your YouTube content in an average month?
That's a good question, and man, I would say it's probably 50-50. 50% of the time I'm building and 50% I'm making content and editing. So it's very, very time consuming. And, being me in the shop, I'm just there by myself, even though I know I've got my partner from time to time, he'll show up, but he's worthless. I'm going to be doing a video with him. He wants to do an interview, so that'll be pretty fun to do that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, setting up the camera and doing the filming, and it just takes time. So
tips for somebody that would like to get started in fabrication. What would you tell someone who said, hey, I've got a few tools and I want to try to work my way up to those skills that you've got? Where would you tell them to begin?
Well, you just hit on it. You need the tools to actually make the cuts and do that kind of work. But if you're really new to it, you need to get to school. You need to go to Mobile Solutions or one of those schools like Installer Institute. They're going to be the place to go to get fundamentals. They're going to show you how to work with materials, how to put things together, fasteners. I'm doing a video on fasteners too. Nobody ever talks about fasteners anymore, but it's so critical in car audio, and they'll teach you all that stuff. Unfortunately, the one thing they can't teach you is creativity. So you need to sort of be following some other fabricators who are really good at it. I do it. I follow like really high-end fabricators on Instagram, and a lot of the things that they're posting, I get tips off of it. So it really helps.
I'd like to add to that too, because I think one of the other ways you can get creativity is to go to places that you don't typically go to. So like for me, maybe going to like a flea market or something and starting to see like a thing in the past. I feel like sometimes, like especially the 50s and 60s, like a lot of their stuff was just art that they built, like the cars, and I mean, even like their radios and stuff. It was more art than, it was both art and function. Exactly. I feel like being able to see that and see what they did with the lines and the curves can be really inspiring.
Yeah. If you're into that stuff, Google Art Deco. I just went and saw an Art Deco show in a museum nearby, and it's just like you said, it's like, here's this toaster, and damn, it's pretty, and it makes toast. So.
And it makes toast. They're burnt every time, but you don't care.
But yeah, the same thing for home audio is car audio too. The sky's the limit when in terms of creativity. You don't have to build a square box every single time. I hate square boxes. I hate rectangles. I like angles. It looks better. It's cool. And so that's just me. But yeah, there's definitely an opportunity to follow other people who are doing this kind of work for sure.
Well, all right. Well, it is getting close to the top of the hour. We usually try to keep it to about an hour. And our usual tradition for wrapping things up from back in the day when Hi-Fi Bega was a part of the show, is he would ask, what is it that we have to pimp? In other words, what have we got coming up that you want to brag about, let everybody know about? So, James, you're our guest. You get to go first. What have you got coming up that you want? You mentioned a couple things just a second ago. You got your interview with your shop partner. I'm looking forward to seeing that. What's some stuff you have coming down the pipeline that you want people to know about?
So just a couple of more builds that are in the pipe. So definitely want to be, watching out for the videos on that. weekly. Fab Nation is also one that I'm trying to get geared up. Didn't do a video on Fab Nation this week, but we'll definitely get started back with that. But as these projects come in, just be watching out for the videos for sure. And this is real world stuff. This is client cars. This is not play day. I'm building cars for real people. So it's legit stuff.
Nick, what about you? What do you got coming up next?
Yeah. I was watching a show on Netflix. Can't remember which one, but it was a car one where they build cars, Gotham Garage or something. And all those cars look like junk. I'm like, they are making these cars for the show because there's no way anyone's paying for these cars. Yeah. Not by season 3. I was like, nah. So that's good that it's real life. So I wanted to build true theater speakers, like real good theater speakers. So I took a Klipsch KPT series. And I basically am redesigning those because I don't know if you know, but you as a person can't buy those. You have to be like someone that works in the movie theater industry to buy them. So I'm replicating. I'm making my version of those. That is already finished. The plans are out. I'm just finishing up the editing of that video. Really happy with the way those came out. I mean, literally, you can stand in front of it and almost all the way to the side of it and get the exact same sound. It's pretty impressive.
Sweet.
Do you still have Patreon, JT?
I do. There's a ton of content and a lot of in-depth videos over there. So it is pay. I mean, I got to make a living, but it's great information. I get into fiberglass. I get into a lot of foam work, how to shape and do foam. So.
Oh, that's nice.
What's the username on Patreon? Same as your channel?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. I've seen to recall a video you did where you did use I think it was some spray foam type material to form your door, some dash pods up against the dash of a vehicle. Mm-hmm. I'd like to copy that sometime because that was very clever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that was super clever.
Yeah. Foam is the way to go. When you're doing door pods and door panels, you just can't get the contours when you're pulling fleece. You just can't get it. It just makes for a lot nicer door panel look when you can foam it and then, design it out that way.
Gotcha.
A lot of more work.
Well, that actually tailors up next, really close into what I'm working on next. There's a company that makes some bolt-on, some screw-on door pods called customdoorpods.com. They were nice enough to send me some pods. They don't look anything like the kind of artwork that you do, JT. These are just like, hey, you've got an afternoon, you want to bolt a pod on. So if someone needs to put a pod on and they just want to get one on there, it seems like it'd be a pretty solid product. And I spent the day in the garage yesterday experimenting with that and seeing how it was going to work out. And so there should be a video on my channel next week showing those off. Nice. Think about the amount of time you put into a door pod. I mean, hours, right? How much time does it take to do a door pod on your channel?
It depends. It could take a week to 2 weeks.
And that's just like constantly going at it. And it's not like, I worked on it for 20 minutes and then I came back next week. It's solid, right? Labor.
Like my door panels in my Tahoe, there's 8 6.5s in each door and 2 tweeters. That's all under the armrest. There's probably 3 weeks in each door.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very time consuming.
So, I mean, it's a little time saving tip. If you don't need that beautiful piece of art and you just want some speakers on your door, $150 for a set and you're off ready to go. And so they look, I showed Nick some pictures earlier. I don't have any handy at the moment. They didn't look too bad actually, cool. for what they are. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. So awesome. That's what's coming up.
Show
on
me
my
anything. I don't know what he's talking about.
I think I've seen them. They look legit. I think they're like plastic ABS.
Yeah, they are. They are
they're like a pressed ABS. Yeah.
Yeah. Very thin.
Exactly. Well, all right then. Well, I do believe that we are past our hour, so we're going to call it an end. I'm going to try not to do what Nick always does and leave the stream instead of ending the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in for their exciting hour of the Sound Advice live streaming podcast. James, thank you for coming on.
Thanks.
Oh, and hope, hey, right at the end, we got got a super chat popped in. Joaquin Juarez is one of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate the support. And we'll
Awesome.
hit the end button here.